Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spin Rack. I'm Mars, and I'm here with my boys PD and Cal. Say what's up, gents.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, ready to rock.
Hey, one of the craziest news came out this weekend that everybody's still trying to get their heads about. The Superman #1 that was found in an attic, in pristine condition, was sold over 9 million buckaroos at auction. That's right, $9 million. This makes it the most valuable comic of all times. What can we say about this? I'm gonna hit it to our regular guy himself, P, who always has things to say about Superman. What do
Okay,
you
well,
gotta
I'm
say?
gonna I'm gonna pass this to Cal.
Oh
There
my
we go.
gosh!
He's our resident seller and obviously the
Ground
biggest
rules.
Superman fan. I didn't do anything disrespectful, did I?
I just say ground rules,
Passed it off.
What? Yeah, what? I don't understand. What's the ground rules? What's the problem?
whatever the host says is what happens. Okay,
What did
so
you say? What did
I
you
said we
say?
pass it to P. All right, we digress. So, Cal, what is your take on this absolutely stupendous number that we're seeing right here now? What do we make of this?
For me, this is a phenomenal number for this book to reach because for a very long time, this was unfortunately in comics, it's like an all or nothing thing. It's like you have Action Comics 1 and everything else is trash. You have Amazing Fantasy 15 and everything else is trash. So, where there was a lot of interest in Action Comics 1, there wasn't the same amount of interest in Superman #1. Now, of course, logically, you would think, all right, there's competing interests. This book didn't come on strong as it is right now until very, very recently. So, $9 million for Superman #1, that is that is an amazing number. And I mean, they're saying this is a near perfect copy. I would want to see it. I want to see it before they say that. But they're saying this is a very high grade copy. $9 million for this. So of course, the first question that jumps into my mind is, well, what's going to be Action Comics #1? Because I believe the last Action Comics that went for sale did not go for $9 million. So that's where my mind is at right now. But phenomenal. That's a phenomenal number to get for this book.
Petey, what's your take on it?
Um, this is the
Sorry,
story
just
that you what?
from what I'm seeing here, the most expensive action comic, #1 in 1938, went for $6 million.
Okay. So that's you. I think we talked about it earlier, and you were kind of iffy. How long ago was that?
Let me
Who,
try to get
me or
Not
either
definitely
one.
not you.
Yes,
No, Mars.
I'm trying to get something to give me something definitive. I just saw that. I'm just trying to get
definitive as to what?
the most expensive comic books ever sold.
Well, it happened before this, so go with inflation makes total
To
sense to
look
me.
at how we got
Um,
to this point and what could come next, let's bring
the
in
heart.
former
It's
USA Attorney
background,
General.
background. Yeah,
So
so I'm looking at something called the Vault and the 30 most expensive comics, and they basically lay it down. They say the 10 most expensive comics or Action Comics six was sold for 6 million. Then Superman #1
The best value
was
in
sold
tools
for
just arrived near
background,
you.
background,
There's a
background,
new Harbor Freight store, and it's
background.
full of the tools.
What's going on there? So Superman #1 sold for 5.3 million, and after that you had Amazing Fantasy at 3.6 million. Captain America uh, #1 Timely Comics for 3.1, and Marvel Comics #1 Timely 2 million, 2.427 million, and Batman #1 went for 2.22 million. So that's what they have down.
So I guess everybody's going to run after Batman 1 now.
What's
Is
the
Detective
problem?
Comics 27 on the list?
27. Yeah, that went for 1.8.
do they have a condition on it?
Let's see.
Swiss cheese.
Let me share the site.
No, I'm just saying. What do you know? What it says? What does it
I'm
say?
looking for it right now. It
That's
was
all right. I
it's
mean, that's okay. We can move on from there.
it was
I think that goes along with
a
inflation.
six a 6.5
It's not
CGC
terrible.
rating.
That's yeah,
That's
that's a low that's a to be
2024.
that's a low price. That's a low price for that grade.
Yeah.
What do you mean? That's the price of the sold, 6.5. This is
That's a
the
good grade for that's a good grade
Yeah.
for that was Detective Comics 27?
yeah.
A 6.5 Detective Comics 27, 1939. Very rare. Rare and scarce because that book doesn't come up for sale very often. That's a good grade. 6.5. That's a good grade. $1 million, the person that was a good price for it.
Batman number one was sold in 2021 for 2.22 million, and it was a 9.4 CGC.
That's a criminal price for that book. That is a criminal price for that book. A 9.4. This Superman book sold and it wasn't graded and it went for 9 million. That's a 9.4 and it was 2 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be surprised if it comes up for sale soon.
Well, I think it seems like the prices, if we look at it, seem like it goes away with inflation. To say, hey, from six was we said the highest was 6 million to nine now. So and it's a rare find. Um, but I think
But
you
the,
were bringing up something, Mars, to further this. Do you believe in this auction, or do you feel it's something that's trying to generate money for the sellers?
I'm
And
a
I'm surprised.
strong believer in shedding light on what's going on. And I hate the fact that you don't know who the buyers are, you don't know who the sellers are, you don't really know what's going on, what was behind this markup. And also, a lot of these auction houses also finance a lot of these purchases too. So this is one of the reasons the prices go up so high. I just find it that, always questionable as to who's actually buying. Is it really a comic book person who's buying it, or is it just someone who's using it as an asset to just save and they're willing to spend X amount of money or launder the money? I know some people don't want to hear it, but that's the very fact. You have this happening and then whether the quality of the market, like you have like the watch market where you see, oh, the prices of watches going up, and then you turn to find out that some of the insiders, people in the watch industry who actually work for some of these watch manufacturers, are actually bidding up the price of these watches. So of course, if you keep doing that, that increases the value of what you have. Doesn't necessarily mean it expands it, or more people are buying it, or more people are even asking for it. Within a small group of insiders. You also have where people buy assets to launder. And I'm not saying this is the case here, but I think that's something that people should always be aware of. That New York real estate, for example, you have these billionaires who spend hundreds of millions of dollars on properties that they'll never see or ever go to, but they're just using it as a leverage or from where they act. Like, they said the Russian billionaires will buy all these apartments, here in the United States because it's safer than storing their money somewhere else or putting in the bank and they can get access to it if they ever need to. So these are things that you always have to be careful when you're looking at what's going on in the market, especially when you see prices that are so out of whack from what you've seen before. I can see if they said, last action was 8.5, sold in 2024, and it went for $6 million, right? But 9 million? I mean, we're talking about 3 million more. That's a lot. That's a real lot. Now, if Batman
yeah.
all of a sudden comes up on the market and I mean, you have Superman number one at 5.3, and then you have um, Batman one, Spider Man at 3.6, and that was a 9.6. Amazing Fantasy number 15, a 9.6 and 3.6. So now you're talking to me, people are going to come back and say, hey, this comic should probably be double the price at the very least. And you're going to
Who?
say
The Spider-Man?
Spider Man, and you're going to say,
Nah, Spider-Man's not it's not in the same category.
all right, then let's say Batman. Batman is definitely in the same category, and he's
I
definitely
don't know. I'm really not sure. Spider-Man doesn't come into the same category because there's like, and Petey might know the numbers better, but there's like what, like 3,000, anywhere between 3 to 5,000 copies of Amazing Fantasy 15 around. It's not
Yeah.
that, in comparison, it's really not that rare. Whereas with Action Comics 1, there's like under 100. I don't know if it's the same thing with Detective 27 and Batman number one, but that's also one of the reasons why Action Comics generates that amount of, I mean, it is rare, it's scarce, and it's a key book. It's everything that you could ask for to generate those type of numbers. Amazing Fantasy 15, however, to get 3 million, that's great. But it's just not in the same category in terms of rarity and scarcity.
Well, I mean, well, then using that logic, Marvel Comics number one, Timely Comics, back in out. They said it was November 1939. Only 80,000 copies were made, and that sales price is the fifth most
Did
expensive.
you say 80,000?
80,000, and it went for 2.9.
Eight.
Oh no, sorry.
Mar
The initial one was 80,000, but then it ultimately ended up selling 900,000 copies. So
Marvel
I don't
Comics #1?
number one, yeah.
But Marvel
But you
Comics
gotta.
#1
But how many copies? How
isn't
many
as
copies
rare
are
as those other
left?
ones.
Sorry, I didn't hear
Marvel Comics #1. How many comics are actually left? That's where it is. With Action Comics, we know it's under 100. With Marvel Comics #1, how many copies are actually left? That's going to help to drive the price.
it's hard
It
to tell
also
because
does.
you said we didn't know how many extra. They just found this extra copy of Superman, right? It wasn't even accounted for, but that's the one that showed up.
No,
So there's certain
Action Comics #1. Action Comics #1 is in a particular category because there is a very small quantity of those. The Superman that just sold is a very high grade copy. So those are two different things. If you're going to bring Marvel Comics into it, it's got to be something of it. Is it as rare as Action Comics #1? Because if you have the same amount of numbers of it as Amazing Fantasy 15, it's not going to generate the same amount of money. One, condition is going to be something else. And to be frank, Marvel Comics #1, the people who appear in it aren't Superman. Who's it? It's the Submariner, the Human Torch. I don't remember who else appears in that, but these aren't characters that have generated interest like Superman or Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean, using that logic, you have Detective Comic number 27. And
Mhm.
according to Vaulted, that's the name of the site that I'm looking at right now, there with only 77 copies documented in the CGC census. You know, that one went in 2024 for 1.8 million. I mean, 77 is really rare, isn't it? And this one went,
Was it
when did
graded?
yeah,
when
CGC
did it go
6.5,
again? Can you say what year it was?
2024. 2024.
2024. Okay. Hmm.
Okay.
Interesting.
So that went for 1.8. So you're going to tell me this is not going to double in price or triple in price?
I
Simply
don't know
based
because I don't know what the grade was on the what was the grade on the
6.5,
detective.
6.5. And look, I can tell you, let's look at sports. You had the whopper sale of the Dodgers, and now all of a sudden, teams that didn't have as much going for it, all of a sudden say their valuation is much higher. I mean, I'm reading Forbes magazine of the most valuable team. I think the Dodgers at one point was like $1 billion, and now all of a sudden, what it's like someone said, "Oh, we're going to buy the Dodgers for
Hmm.
$2 billion." You know, and the same thing goes with the Lakers. They just sold the Lakers for a humongous amount of money, and it wasn't what was being said in the financial presses. They're like saying, "Well, no, you can do more," because someone else came and said, "I think I can do more with this particular thing." And the same thing goes with the art. Someone has to come and say, "Hey, I think I can do some more with this, or do something, valuable." I don't know, but the numbers are astronomical, and I don't know how you justify that. And I don't know if we may be in a bubble right now. The stock market, people have been talking about the stock market may be in a bubble too. So probably this is part of the symptoms that we're going to see that the bubble is happening. And
I don't think so. I
All
mean,
right.
you've got Superman #1, Action Comics #1 are both in the same category of being less than 100 copies existing. So they're both in that category. This is a high grade copy of this particular book. And while I know you would like the transparency of who bought it, I do understand that the person who buys it may not want anyone to know because they don't want the scrutiny of saying you paid how much for that book. That's one of the reasons why you have anonymity when it comes down to it. I think the thing with the sports teams, I think that's an apples to orange comparison. And the best comparison is to make with the comics because one of the things that does uh, perk my attention is that you have a 6.5 copy, a graded copy of Detective Comics 27, which is about 80 copies in existence and it only went for 1 point something million. I'm surprised at that because as of 2025, Batman is the more popular character, and I'm just surprised that he's not generating more money in terms of the sales of these books. And a 6.5 is a very good that's a very good grade for that book.
Well, let me say, with you were talking about the sort of Mars was talking about the eBay type of sales and someone kind of boosting the price. It doesn't matter if
Mhm.
you boost the price because the person who boosts the price either takes it home or
Mhm.
to somebody who has money to pay for it. So you can boost the price and that, but it's not going to work. You're not going to, you can try to say, oh, the market is now 9 million. Then you put up another book and they say, well, the same like trying to sell, it's not comic book wise, but they bought, was it Viacom bought BT for 3 billion and people were staying in the 3 billion 2.5 million billion for that same thing, and they're like, no, we're not selling it for anything more than that. But you have all the top people saying this is what it's worth. It's what it's worth. You can hold on to BT or whatever it is, but that's the thing. If you want to sell, you're trying to make that money, you're trying to make that 9 million on the Batman or something else, you'll find out quickly if the people have money to pay for it. If this was a phony thing, like the same, I mean,
Yeah.
it's different with
Or
like
if they want it.
yeah, if someone wants it, then it's gonna happen. That's what and someone actually pay. If we're playing into hypothetically it being a boost to try to bring the market up, you have the same thing. If you look at the original art, the Sotheby's took comic book art and they pushed it through the stratosphere like they did a lot of things, and they've also run into a lot of criminal sort of activity and that sort of behavior and all the other stuff going on around it. But at the same time, you can buy into the original art thing and you have key pages, you can make a lot of money, or you can be, I guess, the people that work in volume that have tons of pages, high prices, and they sit looking disrespectfully at the cons in these booklets that are that you once you get them you have to now make sure you restore it and keep it in good shape because they're just tons of pages that people have, so it's tough to look at it that way because the eBay thing does work because people do buy the stuff. You can generate the thing and there's person who's sitting there with some money, be like bam, or your person will say, hey, this is worth more, and you hit the button because it's a sickness that you can have, then you wind up trying to pay for something you can't afford. So, or keeping it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what you're saying. But I mean, I'm just again, I know what you're saying, Cal. That hey, this guy doesn't want anybody to know. But I guess I'm a little bit more cynical. I think someone's just buying it for because it's an
You
asset,
don't say.
and they're and they're willing to overpay for this because when Tom McFarlane bought what was it Superman he bought? What was the one he had bought? And when he bought like the most expensive boat,
Baseball. He bought the
baseball,
baseball.
he was
You
like
mean that was that baseball,
yeah,
but
baseball.
he got undercut because the very next year Barry Bonds broke the record.
That's true too. But the point is that he was happy to do it and proud to do it. Some of these other guys, I don't know what's going on.
Well,
And look,
No.
why do you think why do
another
you
thing,
think this is why do you think this is an overpayment? Because you're saying that he's overpaying. So why
I
do you
think
think this book is not worth that money?
because if it goes for 6 million before and now it goes for 9 million, that's a lot. That's a that's
Look,
almost
that
that's almost what
that happens. That happens. Books go up in price. I understand if you're saying, well, look, what's the driving factor? I mean, we talked about it before the show. You're saying maybe the movie. And
yes,
I wasn't
exactly.
someone who think that the movie would drive it, even though that did happen with some of the Spider-Man sales. But that happens. Books go up in price. And again, this is a very it's tough because part of me I do want to like lean into some of what you're saying, but it's the perfect book for this type of price. It's a key character, it's a high grade book, it's exceptionally rare. So those are all of the things that should happen in order to drive the price on it. 9 million? I would never have thought that, but you know, again, there was a point, and I've already told this story before. There was a point back in the 90s where, there's a reputable comic seller, and somebody approached them with a copy of Action Comics 1, and he declined, saying, I don't think I can find a buyer for it. And that was a book at that time. It was not $1 million book at that time. You go back far enough, you could have gotten Action Comics for, you could have gotten a copy of Action Comics 1 for a few $1,000s. So for it to go from there to the prices that we're seeing right now, I think would be a justification that the price goes up. Again, I can only speculate as to a $3 million jump in what, 2 years? I can't that I could not tell you about, but I don't think it's something that's unprecedented with the collectible.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is that at the top of the market, like when in the 90s, when they had that whole fall, the value of comics and the market
Mhm.
contracted, values dropped. And I'm
Did
saying right
did
now,
Action Comics drop though? That's the thing.
No, no, it didn't.
That would be a
I don't,
difference.
I don't remember there being any large sales at the time because people weren't selling. I mean, look, there's one way the price doesn't go. If you spent a lot of money and the market drops, it behooves you to try and sell it in a down market unless you
Different
absolutely need to do it.
different markets
You know what I'm
though.
trying to say?
Different markets.
Yeah, it's a different.
I
That's a
different.
different because
It's another
that was a
asset.
store.
Different
I don't think it's
markets.
different. Look, I don't think it's a different thing. It's like the same thing with art. Art goes up and goes down. Any market goes up and goes
Mhm.
down. If you guys cannot believe that the market just stays set at one particular price. Of course, every dealer would want, but
Yeah, but it's
I was just at the Big Apple Con, right? And I'll give you some good examples. I was at the Big Apple Con and I was buying comics, right? And there were some of the comics, and Petey was there with me, and I was talking to some of the vendors, right? And one of the vendors brought up the point that, hey, they sold out many of their comics because they just were not getting the prices that they wanted, right? It just wasn't some of these comics that they thought were going to be key. So I actually racked up on a couple of good deals there that normally would have.
yeah, but those guys are pikers.
But the whole point of a market is a buyer and a seller, right? If there are more
Mhm.
buyers than there are sellers, the prices go up. If there are more sellers than there
Right,
are
but
buyers,
this
the
is a
prices go down.
different like Petey's saying, this is a different market. This is a market where approximately 80 copies exist, and that's their estimation, be based on grading or what have you. It might be less than that.
Well, it's
Whereas you're
more.
talking about books like you're talking about other books like, Luke Cage, Hero for Hire 1 or Inhumans #1. You can get those books. You can get those books. That's not a big deal. And these guys will, make some money over here. When you're talking Action Comics 1, Superman 1, Amazing Fantasy 15, that's in a totally different echelon. It's a totally different echelon at the end of the day. Those books generate their own money. They're not subject to a market. They're just not.
I don't know. I think you guys are not seeing a market is a market. There's always a market. There's a buyer and seller. There's a
So
market.
what's the market? So what's the market for a book like Action Comics 1? We go by the last sale?
Well, I mean, that's usually the base price. When you go to the auction prices, they're saying, well, the last one sold for $6 million. I think when they started
Mhm.
this one, they said let's try and get it up to 11 million. But those
Right?
are the brokers. They have an incentive because they get paid the more it's sold, and so they're going to push it back. I think I was looking at
Mhm.
something where it said they were talking about the reserve. I wanted to see what was the all right. Make offer to owner of 11.4 million or more. That's what they're saying. They have action comic number 15. They said they wanted to 528,000 or more. I don't know if that sold or not because they didn't really say anything. They just said make an offer. But in terms of the Action Comics number one, that did sell. But we know it didn't go to 11 million. But this is what the auction houses they're trying to get as high a price as they possibly can get because and
Yeah.
Heritage basically has a corner on this particular deal because they sell these particular type of collectibles and they're able to get these numbers pretty high.
So
What
then
are you
what's the
showing, Petey?
market? The market is
No.
so what's the market then? The market is whatever the buyer wants.
Exactly. And bikers, whatever it is, it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is going to be. How many buyers can afford to pay $9 million for one comic?
All
I mean,
right.
how many
I'm sorry. I spoke. The market's going to be whatever the seller wants because this is the guy who's
buyers?
got the book. And he's the one saying no. The last guy sold it for 6. We're going to start this one at 12. And if nobody buys at 12, then he may go down and say, look, I'll take my book and I'll go home. That's different than the comic market now, where these guys are like, hey, I've got all this inventory. I can't hold on to these books because I really don't know how to sell them. So I'm going to slash my prices by 30, 40, 50% in order so I can move inventory. Nobody's going to do that with Action Comics 1. Like, hey, I bought
Yep.
this book. I'm not selling it. I'm going to slash the price. I paid 6 million. I'm going to slash it by 3 million. Nobody's doing that with Action Comics 1. It's a
You see
different
it all
market.
the time. You see it all the time with stuff. I bought this for 9 million. I need
When have
money
you seen it
now.
with
When
Action
have you
Comics 1?
seen that some of the
Hold on. I'm giving an example of an asset. Like people have houses that you sell all the time.
It's got to be apples to apples. It's got to be apples to apples
But
because you
you
have
see,
houses all
I'm
over the
looking at it as
place.
differently. You're looking at it as just comics, and I'm looking at it as an asset, right? All it is an
Mhm.
asset. Art, art.
Just give me a comparable asset, something that is in the line of the rarity of a
Okay,
collectible like
let's give it.
Action Comics 1.
Let's say the art market. The art market a couple of years collapsed, right? People
Mhm.
couldn't sell the art that they wanted to. Just wasn't getting the numbers they are. Recently the market has come back up. right? So you
Right.
have, like for example, you have the Salvator Mundi from Leonardo da Vinci. It sold for
Right.
almost over $500 million to the Prince of um, of um, of Saudi Arabia. You know, you have Cezanne card player sold for $350 million to the state of Qatar. And one of the things they're doing,
Okay.
they're trying to develop a whole art market. But I'm saying a couple of years back, the art market collapsed. So when they had these artworks, they could not sell
What
it because
what was the collapse though? I'm not, I gotta understand what was these guys are now selling these for a quarter of a billion,
now. But I'm
half
saying,
a billion dollars.
but the
When it
point,
collapsed, what were the values when it what was the collapse? What was the value?
the point I'm saying is that the problem is the art market goes up and just every market goes up and down, right? It doesn't. It's not a stat market that just keeps going up just like this. When it collapses, that means you can't sell. Either you take a loss in your sale or you hold on to it, right? And a lot of these owners are sophisticated owners and they're going to hold on to it for as long as they can. They'll probably write out the price, but not everybody does. Some people have to sell because they can't afford not
I
to.
know. I'm trying to follow along with
I'll
you.
have to get you. I'll
With,
have to give you a stats of what happened with the art market or how much there is.
Well,
You
if you're
know,
saying that these guys were trying to sell, if these guys were trying to sell, you know, these guys are trying to sell, you know, Van Gogh at 500 million, and they couldn't do it at that point because the market crashed. Well, then you're supposed to hold it until the market comes back, not slash the price, not on a one for one. That's just what you're supposed to do. If these guys are like, oh no, I paid again, I can't understand this because these are one of a kind items.
right, but you know, a great example. I'm looking here. It says back in the 1990s, after the Japan bubble burst, the art market crashed because you didn't have the Japanese buyers going out there and buying and paying those high numbers. In the 2008 global
Okay.
financial crisis, the exact same thing. People didn't have the money to go out there and spend. They had to hold back. The 2020
So you think
pandemic.
this is a bubble?
I'm saying it could be. You never know. Like AI prices are just
Come
up.
on, man. Come on, man. You got to take some position with me here. I'm
I
trying to
am
rock
taking a
with you.
position. I am taking a position. I said it could
Is
be
it
a
a
bubble.
bubble? Could
I
be.
think it could
Could
be a
is
bubble.
it a bubble? Yes or no? Come
I
on.
think it could be.
All right.
You
Wait,
know
wait,
fun.
wait,
You know fun.
wait. No,
I can't. I'm
we have
trying
to
to rock
no.
with this dude. He's
We
like,
have to, we have
won't
to,
take a position.
we have to
I think
destroy. No, we have to destroy your argument entirely because your
how?
argument started on cynicism, right? So I take
Yep.
this book here and I put it up, and
I
I
can't see the
read
book. Can you show the book? Can you put
this
the book up?
Fantastic Four book, right?
It's too
I
shiny. It's too shiny.
so what?
I
It's
can see it. Don't worry. Don't worry. I got it.
so we have this book, right? And I get Cal to play along, and he drives up the price, and I have a phony thing, and I drive up the price to 9 million, right? So that's just between the two of us. We haven't
Right.
generated any money, so now we
Right.
just
No.
pay Heritage 900,000. We just cost.
Yes.
So you're saying that through that money I spent on that, I'm gonna now get 11 million for this book. That's my plan.
That's that's your plan.
I'm gonna
You're
spend
gonna
900,000. That's your cynicism. That's your logic to it, because you have to
My
still
cynicism
pay.
goes even further. My cynicism goes even further. Now, by you buying that, it elevates your whole collection. So your collection behind,
No, I
you're
already
spending.
have it. I have the book. I
No,
put
you
it full
have
in
that book, but
sale.
I'm saying but I'm saying all the prices are going to rise now because it's not just going to be simple here. Like we were just talking about Batman.
No,
The Batman #1, Detective
the
number 1.
crash took all the other smaller books down. That's what the crash
Yeah.
did. So it took
And it
other
will take
books that were bigger that would this one, or
The
like
crash.
even
Are
Dazzler
you
at some
Crash
point
killed
was
the
going to
thinking?
direct.
cost what? The first Prisoner of
Are you
Dazzler
The
had to
serious?
cost
crash.
something.
The comic book crash, you can liken that to the Nikkei crash because the reason why all that art was going up and down was because the Japanese economy was booming at the time. And when the
Yeah.
Nikkei crashed, that was it. They couldn't sell to these guys anymore. And that was the backbone of where they were making these strong sales. With the 90s crash with comics, it was the direct market that took the hit.
Yeah.
You know, so all the comic stores crashed, so on and so forth. If this is a bubble, what we have to see is like, okay, you know, where's the speculation that's coming in here? Where's the, you know, where's the person pumping this to get it up to this particular thing so they can make the turnaround? You know, that's where I would want to see it at the end of the day. I don't disregard your cynicism. You know, I really don't, because this is a big number.
Yeah.
But at
Yeah,
the same
that's
point, I'm
what's
like, yeah, but you got to give something tangible. You have to give something tangible. Like, okay, if it's a bubble, it's aligned to what? What's juicing it? What's pushing it up? Because I'm giving you the other tangible that this is a rare book in terms of comics. This is a rare book. it is in good condition, and it's Superman. Okay, it's Superman. It's not the Submariner. It's not Captain Avenger. It's Superman. This guy heralds the comic book. He heralds the superhero age, regardless of what anybody wants to say. He's not the first superhero, whatever. This is the guy who puts them on the map. So you have all of those things aligned for this book. So on one end, I can say, yeah, I can see this book getting that number, maybe not as quickly as it's happened right now, but it can get that number. But if I'm gonna, be fair and listen to something that might be more of a cynical side, I at least need a tangible. What's juice in the book?
Someone paying $9 million.
No, but you're still buying into the fact that someone actually paid for it when you could get stuck for juicing the price. You're saying that Method Man or Freddie Prinze Jr., which we know by comic book art or comic books, they got stuck with it. Whereas you don't have to pay. The thing is, in the auction, you can put your sign down and stop. You don't have to keep going. It's to say, oh well, it's 8.5 million. I gotta pay for it. You don't have to do it, and the person gets stuck with it. If I have a phony number, that's the cynicism I'm talking about. Whereas, yes, at the same time, if they have the money, yes, they'll do it, and then it could drive other prices up and say, oh well, this is what it is. But then you have to find someone else. It has to be continuous. But yeah.
It's called what that's called is shill bidding. So I put the book up, and let's say I started at a low price and I don't see somebody's, like, it's not going as fast as I want. I call somebody and say, hey, look, man, put in a bid for at least this amount so I know that this book doesn't go for less than that, then I don't lose any money. When the auction's over, he's not going to pay me. He's not going to pay me or anything of that nature. What's going to happen? I'm going to keep the book. I'll find some way to finesse it, and that was it. So unless it hits for a price over what I'm asking him to put in, it doesn't happen. But you're asking for a shill bid on $9 million? Even at 100, even at $100,000, that's a lot of money to ask somebody, hey, can you come over here and do this? And don't worry, we're going to turn this around for 11 million. Like, when? And then based on what? Because if I'm going by what you're saying right here, if this is all like, some stuff in the tank, then we need another fool to come in here and spend like 11 million on this thing. It just doesn't, where are you going to get the guy if it's along those lines? So that's where the cynicism doesn't bear out. I'm open to a bubble. I'm open to a bubble, but I need to see the bubble.
I think there's signs in the bubble. The stock market has been antsy pretty much about the whole AI.
This has nothing to do with the stock market.
Of course it does, because that means certain people have more money because the markets have been pretty high, right? You're not talking about
why would they put their money into this?
Anybody who can afford $10 million, I think that has to be disposable.
I'm really trying to rock with you on this one, but I can't understand anybody who's making a killing on the stock market says, what would be a great investment or a great asset? $9 million on a comic book.
They feel it's going to go
any
up.
Comic book.
They feel it's going to go up, and especially and like we said before,
how is it going to go up if they're the one juicing it?
Superman, because someone else may buy it. Look, so you have the Superman thing. They know now that Superman is going to be coming out with more movies. The last movie was taken well, so people are going to start listening to more Superman movies. We have already Supergirl's coming out next year. Superman is supposed to come out 2027, I think, another film. Then
2020 July 7th, 2027 in a theater near you.
Right. So already
crypto popcorn bucket.
So you see, there's now the market is people are more interested in it. More players in the market. More people want to get this particular trophy comic. Well, listen, we have to agree to disagree once again.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Good. And I'll give a final thought on our discussion here to wrap everything up, and we'll pass this on to our viewers to tell us what they think. So hey guys,
remember the protocols. Remember the protocols.
So like I was saying, we think that these auctions are very.
All right. This is going. What are you talking about? You can go into a question.
We're wrapping it up, Petey. We're wrapping it
up. You're not wrapping it up.
No, see, this is
the final it out for no good reason. And trying to say
no. This is what happened. This is what happened when we don't do shows. This is what happened when we don't do shows in person, because I can't leap over the table and just get at them. I'm like, come on, man.
Okay. We're not doing a show on whether the auctions are right or wrong. As far as right now, we haven't seen anything as far as heritage The problem is that people see a lot of things going through heritage. So they're like, oh, well, that's what we talked about when we were at the con. They're like saying, yeah, we have Steranko talking about heritage and this one talking about heritage, but at the same time, my dealings were if you had the art that I wanted to buy, they went quick. There's no playing around. It's not the eBay thing. You put it up, someone puts the number in right after you. Bang. And if you're out of it, you're out of it. And you miss the thing. And you sit there, you look at the price of it. Goddamn, I could have got that. Excuse my French. I could have got that. That was sitting right there. I could have had that print in the house.
I'm not. But we're not talking about the regular art. We're talking about the high top art, such as the rare.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm using that.
No,
as an example.
I'm not saying heritage is bad in of itself.
You got to think apples to apples though. This was Fantastic Four #1 after the movie didn't do as well as people would have liked, and it was a high grade copy of Fantastic Four #1, and it went for $10 million. Yes, I'd be right there with you. Like, okay, what the heck is going on? This number doesn't make it. This number doesn't make any sense. I would be right there in your corner. Like, there's something else going on. But if Fantastic Four met the same criteria of a book like Action Comics #1, then yeah, I'll be like, okay, well, there's some validity to that. There could be some juicing going on, but this is still a book that meets a criteria where it can command these type of numbers. It just can't, because of the importance of that particular book.
There is some juicing going on this topic because we're done. We're out of here. Close this show out.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. So, like I said, just to close it out, I just wanted to say, we are all in agreement that
spin a rack.
The price
out.